This is already the second go around of the battle bus dropping into the island. Everybody has their drop spots already figured out. And the interesting thing about today is we saw in game one, Swizzy and Vaniac were contested. When everybody was on social media picking their drop spots, putting their flag on their stand, Swizzy and Vaniac were uncontested. So already things have switched and shaken up before the tournament has even started. And let's see if Swizzy and Vaniac can get their revenge. They've already been taken down once, and it was very, very early on. Let's see if they can defend Brutal Beachhead now.
It's basically a 50-50 up here to see who can pick up those initial weapons, and it looks like Swizzy Vaniac are not going to be the ones landing first, as now the battle continues. It's going to last a bit longer than last match, but aggression is what we're going to see here as the slurp barrels are going to be put to good use. Shield close to maxed out. It's going to be a tough one.
It's just a little bit more prolonged, especially if you consider Brutal Beachhead is this big warship, this boat, and there's so many nooks, crannies, corners, doorways, places to just hide. So if you kind of get lost, you get lost of track of time, where your duo is at, where the enemy team could be at, it's an easy way to kind of get caught off guard. So both of these teams, I feel like there's going to be a lot of looting, a lot of materials, and kind of wait for the last second to try to get that medallion. But QNDX and Phantom yet again starting off their contested drop with a big win.
A lot quicker this time. Repetition from last game. QNDX Phantom being the winners of this early game fight, and it happened so quickly that they don't even have any troubles from the third parties in the surrounding areas. So now they should have a lot more time to kind of finish up their loot path and continue on with their rotation. I'm not sure exactly where they finished in the last match, but hopefully with a quicker start here, they should have a lot more freedom on playing it out.
Yeah, switching regions is easy, especially going to one of the best regions. As the eliminations again just starting off very, very quickly. Nitro Drum contested. Chap and Teeny, they're just ready to just take over, dominate anybody who drops here, and then move on over to the Forecast Tower, because we saw it last week. That is one of the main parts of their plan that they go after the drop.
What a size, Snazy. 12 points on the board, aiming for an 11th place. We all know how beneficial it can be to qualify to the upper bracket of the semifinals. You get way more opportunities to make it directly to the grand finals. But 11th place is not going to be easy. UNDX Phantom, we just talked about it, actually finished 36th in the last game. So we'll see how the kind of changes now that they do have a bit more time to play it out. Podosai Snazy, though, the aggressors now saying, we don't want to waste no time here. Forcing their opponents into the building now. Playing corners, playing shots, trying to see if they can get an opening.
You said it. We all know it. Around 11th place, Podosai and Snazy. That's what they need for that upper bracket berth. And they're a team, we've seen them so much over the years, progressively getting better. The Global Championship, they had a whole section, a whole crowd of French members just kind of rooting for them left, right, and center. And I think having that fuel, having that confidence kind of helps you a bunch. As Snazy grabs another angle. Shield's gone just like that. And you can see his duo trying to alleviate some of that pressure. Snazy quickly reacting once again. Not wanting to get caught off guard. But this is where it kind of gets a little sticky, because you see him 4 medium bullets left in his arsenal. So if he wants to continue this long-range battle and not bring it down to a box fight, he's going to have to figure out where to get that ammo from, whether he's disengaged, looting up, or just sticking to the close-range box fights that we know and love in Fortnite.
Yeah, you know, if you look at the mini-map at the bottom right, there's not too many players in the surrounding area. Not any players at all, basically. So they have a lot of time here to kind of play this out without having to worry about a third party. But what they are giving up are those potential materials, the loot they get from rotations. However, this is an important engagement to win, so it might take a little longer, but if Podosai and Snazy are able to secure 2 elims here, it could be quite massive as the EMP comes through, taking out a bit of shield. And right now, the engagement is going to be fully coming to a close. Podosai connecting nice shots, but his duo partner has gone down. It's a 1 versus 1 now. HP and shield advantage for Podosai as the full box comes through, and the last shot connected to pick up those 2 eliminations. Snazy got knocked down quite quickly there. It made me a bit scared, but it looks like they have cleaned it up in the end.
Yeah, that was a good job by Snazy, though. He crashed in from this side. He was the one that caused all that distraction. It was a huge sacrifice that I think worked out for them. Now they get the time to kind of get the resources, everything that they need, but a lot of action going down as so many different POIs. Reckless Railways, even though we saw those two teams initially fighting there in the replay, I saw on the minimap a third team, and then you see another fourth team, and this is where it happens in these rotations. As it goes towards the center, moves towards the west, teams are going to have to figure out, do you just white line, or do you try to make that slow rotation towards the outskirts?
Forecast tower battle. Chaptini once again. But it looks like it's Sky and Scroll who are going to be the ones on the other end, coming from their back-to-back victory royales, one being from round 3, the first match of these qualifier finals. But you got to be careful when you're going against a duo as strong as Chap and Teeny. You can't make a single mistake. But Chap has been knocked down. Sky is going to be the one that got the elimination as Teeny gets cracked now, just one shot away to be sent back to the lobby. And Sky and Scroll now going to be happy with the way they just started off their second match.
Yeah, that's a big win. It helps them in terms of Storm Surge. Now they're going to get the Forecast Tower. And since they've already pulled zone, there is a mountain right by that Forecast Tower with a launch pad. You can box up on that one, get some elevation if you do need Storm Surge after a fight just like this. And they just seemed like they were in full control almost every step of the way. It didn't matter if shots were coming into the third party. And Sky and Scroll, they ended round 3 with a win. They started round 4 with a win. And now they're playing game 2 already with a big battle for the Forecast Tower.
Yeah, this is huge for this duo. We can hope that they keep this momentum going forwards as we switch on over to Ju here alongside Asa, as it looks like they've secured 2 elims, but they're pursuing a solo. So I'm curious to see kind of how this situation came to be, but I'm sure they know that there's another duo now kind of wanting to join the party. Said, where's my invite? Well, they don't need one. As now the question is, are they going to wait it out to see if any shields get cracked as kind of like an opening to get closer? But for 9 on the other end, kind of saying, you know, that third party could turn into a fourth party, so you got to be careful.
Yeah, and you kind of see in the minimap, yeah, you spotted out for 9. You know he's kind of at the entrance to that bridge. Over towards the still real bottom left. That's his teammate, and that's why he has to be very, very careful. He enters this fight, but Ju, he has to go in. It's all or nothing. His teammate just went down, and there is a huge save right there, but another team's moving in. That was the one you were talking about. They got the green light. They heard the fight. They see the elimination feed, and this is their chance to go, and they're doing some great damage trying to follow up, and the third-party shots are coming in, making it harder and harder for anybody in this situation to try to survive. And with those builds, the Nitro Ring, a little bit of misstep, is exactly what Ju needs to try to survive.
Look at the surroundings, though. All eyes are on these duos that are fighting right now, so they're gonna want to clean this up quickly, and luckily enough, it's exactly what they end up doing. Ju sent back to the lobby. Now, quick refresh, gonna heal up, and it looks like they might just have a bit of time to breathe here. Nobody seems to be aggressing towards them, so as they loot up and continue with their match, we'll head on over here to Reason and Vidil, as it seems that they have got 1 elim, but I don't think they're gonna chase the duo, well, the last player standing at least.
And not just yet. Kind of waiting to rotate on over, figure out where the zone goes, and kind of see they have snooty, sandy steps in mind as they start to rotate over. That hill that I was talking about with the launch pad right next to the Forecast Tower, that is where they were positioned to get a nice shot on Reason, slow him down, force out the big pots because it was a headshot. And now they were already rotating to grab a couple more resources, materials. Now they need to look for even more.
I was gonna say, was that Raban that hit him? Nice shot connected with the headshot. It's a good position when you have players rotating around you. However, the only players are the ones that Raban connected on, so not gonna have a lot more opportunities, at least anytime soon, to get that damage. They haven't got any eliminations either. You can see them kind of marking around. Should we switch mountains? What's the game plan here? They do have a launch pad, which is why they based up on theirs. It's gonna be an easy rotate when the time comes for it.
Look, there's that Blurfire and various beads just kind of rotating from Rebels Roost, Cringe, and Valko, rotating upwards. And there's 2 different bunkers on this side of the map, and both of these teams are kind of positioned between them both. And it looks like they're kind of just settling for Storm Surge, but they do have the option when the zone closes in, they can stagger back, try to find more. And for Crimson Volko, they're just stuck. It's almost like a bowl that they're surrounded by all these mountains, all these players that are positioned there with elevation, and that's why you see them kind of getting tagged up. It's a risk that they're willing to take to try to get whatever scraps that they can find that is left behind over there.
Saren and Dimas now almost isolated from the rest of the pack here. They have had quite an efficient rotate, making a use of holding on to those underworld dashes for later on in the match, which you do get from that river of sticks. However, now they have capped materials. They have a good amount of ammunition, a good loadout, so it's kind of figuring out where they're going to get their damage. They had no eliminations, and there's already a lot of duos that have built their surge bases, which is what Thomas HD is in right now. Kind of gives them that vision of the surrounding area and all the players rotating either towards zone or towards the surge location that they want to be at. So hopefully it's going to grant him those chances to get those shots and damage done. But so far, nothing incredibly risky happening yet.
And they don't need to make any big risks. Queasy and Thomas, they need about a 45th placing today, give or take, which is the bare minimum. Other players not having that same comfortability, though. You can see trapped between a rock and a hard place. Two different players, even third party coming in, with more players having to rotate from the east into this position. So it's almost in their best interest to either disengage or finish this fight as quickly as possible, because the chances of it getting messier and messier are just only going to increase. And that's why you see them now aggressing from two different angles. Shots coming in. That's where they know they have to watch their back. Time is ticking before that safety net of being isolated one point or another is gone, and they continuously are trying to move forward. They're not necessarily going for two different angles, and it's costing them a lot because now both of them are getting damaged back down, and it's going to be even tougher for them because now they have to make the decision: do I waste the resources? Do I waste my materials to try to keep going for this elimination, or do I just hold my spot, wait a couple of seconds for the zone to move in, and then try to rotate to the next one?
I mean, this is a tough position to be in because you have 3 medkits, so you could tank Storm to try and get the reboot. But at that point, how are you going to get back? How are you even going to escape this? And just like that, the dream is going to come to an end for this second match. SNK and its duo partner will be the ones that secure that solo elim. For Volko, though, and Cringe, I don't think they want to let Fast Strokey get out of here.
Tell what happened. They tried it. They tried it. Now they're separated. They went from the top of the mountain trying to take over Rift Island. I can only imagine Cringe and Volko were there waiting, beamed them out of the sky. You saw them trying to disengage, but by that point, when you have some of the best aim in the lobby, these are all the top players in the region overall, it's hard to disengage like that when you make a mistake. And now it's Robon. He has some time here, definitely more than enough time, but does he go for the reboot? Does he already have it? Because you see him moving off that mountain, going deeper into zone. So if he does have that reboot card, this will be the best chances he has to get his teammate back.
I'm the king.
Are you?
No, Cringe is clearly with that emote. Love the new Nick A30 icon skin. You know, if you eliminate someone with the Nick A30 icon skin pickaxe, it makes like a little sound.
Is it really?
On the opposing end. Yeah, it's pretty cool, actually. Anyways, that's for another day. Jiro's Chari here. More on the south side still. No elims on the board. And they're pretty low on materials. I'm wondering kind of what caused them to not be able to continue with their kind of material and route earlier on. They must have gotten into a back and forth there. You can even see there's a duo still inside of the zone. Close to Brutal, trying to kind of get out now.
You know, if I was them or anybody else that's positioned on that side of the map, I wouldn't necessarily be worried. But instead, Sky and Scroll, you see that Rift Island is kind of still in the picture. It is in the zone. It might be a little too early for its zone, but typically in the 5th and the 6th zones, that zone will tend to pull away from where Rift Island is at. So even though you might not have the best position, you might not be center, it might be a blessing in disguise if the zone does continue in that trend to pull away. It doesn't happen 100% of the time, Zakata. I did see last week some of the zones remaining around Rift Island, so it's not 100%, but you can kind of go ahead and bet that it is going to pull away more often than not. There's already the start just on the edge. Eclipse and Dexy are the ones trying to go ahead and fight just underneath, so it might be for a rift or something that is going to be close by. Not confident enough to go all the way up towards the top, or at least not to do it late. So just spraying through, just trying to get as much surge as possible, back down their opponents and try to get the upper hand.
Oh.
But Various B, who's the one that's going to do it, gets that knock on a Dexy, oversteps his boundaries, bites off more than he can chew, and now Blurfire is stuck by himself. Piece Control is going through, and now he almost gets cut off on the other end. That's going to be his teammate that reunites. That strength in numbers is huge.
Blurfire is just trying to give his teammate a bit of time to heal on up. The issue for Eclipse here is he knows he's not going to get enough time to pick up his duo partner, so he had to regress the player that was already tagged. However, now he's given them too much time. The shield has been recuperated, and now the 2 versus 1 continues. So Dexy, Blurfire and Various are going to have to make that choice. Do they play the aggressive 2 versus 1? They don't want to let him pick up Dexy here. However, you got to be careful, as Eclipse is not missing his shots here. Knocks down 1. And now the 1 versus 1 continues. Just 34 HP left as the minis are going to be popped.
They try to think outside of the box. They broke the cover and tried to dash their way in. But Various B, that's a decision you're going to regret, because Eclipse, he did not miss. But now the tables have turned. It's narrowed down to a 1v1. Blurfire has to make those conscientious decisions. Do I go for the revive? Do I try to get my teammate back? Do I disengage? Because realistically, they're not far from the zone. And Eclipse is making that decision for him. He's going in, trying to get the finish, but instead of getting distracted by the knock, without any HP, no heals, time is ticking for him. All or nothing, tries to dash in. Blurfire with a quick reaction, deny entry, but Eclipse, no heals. We talked about it. He has to go in. It's all or nothing here, because now the zone is going to begin to pull away.
I think he realized he had no time. The zone was going to end up knocking him. I don't believe there was enough heals, as now Eclipse has played the edge. Blur lost his teammate as well to zone. Both duos now turned into solos with not a lot of opportunities to bring their partner back in. There is a chance on the Rift Island, however. There is still a full duo up top, as now both players have been put into quite a difficult situation. And I can see if Eclipse doesn't want to let the fight end yet either, as you know Blur has to make it back in.
I feel like they know there's probably not too many rifts on that side either. They're the ones that kind of position at the bottom. You see the zone moving over towards Sandy Steps, away from that Rift Island like I was talking about. So all those players that made that decision to rotate towards the south, try to be ahead of the game, it is going to pay off, as Fast Stroke is still running around. And I feel bad, because I wish I knew how long him and Roban have been separated, because we saw them early on in the game, separated. Fast Stroke, he's scrambling around. We finally see him go down, but I feel like that was like minutes ago, maybe even like 5 minutes ago.
Yeah. Curious too. We'll have to see kind of how it plays out. You can see Raban's there. He's chilling right now ahead, but I'm not even sure how much damage he's gonna have. Will he be able to pick up his duo? Sky Scroll don't want to let that slide, as they slide on in to Raban's box here. I think I heard the reboot ban come through, but will he get boxed up? Raban cracked now, drop below. And another shot gets connected to eliminate both players. Sky Scroll are on fire right now.
Yeah, his teammate Fast didn't even get a chance to play. It was Volko on top of the mountain of Sandy Steps. He's the one that kind of tagged him out. Just unfortunate circumstances when you sacrifice everything for the reboot. You don't get out alive, and your teammate doesn't even touch the ground. Just unfortunate circumstances. Sky and Scroll, we saw the eliminations they got early on in this game, and they were able to find one more onto Blurfire, and we saw how weak Blurfire was. He was going through the ringer, but unfortunately his game 2 ends there.
Yeah, Surge is ticking. You can see it striking from the clouds, as it's going to be Nate here and Slove, who are going to be the ones applying that pressure during the fight. They have more than enough damage, though, close to 1,000. So basically, they're just looking for eliminations here. They can even get a bit of extra loot if they really want to, once these players continue getting tagged.
It's just tough, because they're at the side of the mountain. They can't even backtrack to try to disengage. Their only options really go up, or to one of the directions where they can continuously get sprayed at. But at least the pressure has stopped for now, because they're still 65 below that damage threshold, which isn't honestly much. One well-placed shot, whether it's a shotgun, you got the enforcer for distance, could really make the difference. But right now, they're just focused on that rotation, get a safe spot in zone, box up above a couple of these teams, and that is what they're going to use, the elevation, to try to get Storm Surge from some of these other players that might not have rotated very quickly to the rotation.
Connecting their box with the players down below, making sure they can't get chopped down easily. Good job just using as many materials that are needed to not get cracked. If you end up getting cracked on a rotation like that, the focus will be on you, just like it was on for 9. And there's not much you can do in that situation. Either you use all your materials trying to outbuild it, or you just end up getting eliminated. Chris now as well. We saw him and iDrop having a bit of trouble there on the edge of zone. Most likely not too healthy and not too solid in terms of loot and consumables. So kind of just struggling their way back to zone. Della, iDrop now fully eliminated.
Bet you they had fun now. Frazi and Rakuzan, they were the ones at the side of the mountain not too long ago that we saw getting sprayed. Now they get a chance to do it to an whole nother team, but they did not get enough Storm Surge. There was other players that helped get that elimination down, so they're still 47 below the threshold. All of that Flowberry Fizz is gone, and with only one mini being passed around, that it means it's going to be a tough and a long road for them and their survival if they're going to try to go ahead and make it happen.
A decision has to be made. The good news is the zone is going to start closing, so it's going to open up chances for them to take some shots here on the players rotating through, but they don't have a lot of time to do so. Something needs to connect here. Could it be this shot on the player down below? It's not going to be. 39 HP left now. Just a couple ticks away from danger as the medkit is going to be popped, and it looks like Rosie might just have to call it here.
Yeah, he's just sacrificing himself. Let his teammate get at least some of the loot before finally going down, but that hasn't helped him, not at all. Still 108 below the damage threshold with a couple more players that still need to drop. I would say he does have a couple med kits, so he can get some heals back up, but we're seeing how dangerous that low ground actually is. Even if a bush is there trying to hide Mustache and Malabuka, they see you at every turn.
Can't hide from Mustache. We can see the confidence from this duo. They played incredibly well in the last match. An unfortunate high ground retake following theirs. But I'm confident in the consistency from this duo. Our champions of the previous major. I like their positioning here as well. Down below, under the ridge. I'm curious to see where zone pulls back towards. As Sky and Scroll, Mustache, Malabuka now have an interesting route they're going to have to take. But the Flowberries popped. The momentum boost is granted. And now as the zone starts closing, the rotate's going to come through.
Yeah, this is where a good portion of players are going to begin to drop off. 173 above. That's enough to keep you confident moving forward. Demus and Serene, they're the first ones that have the high ground, but don't think it's going to be too free too soon. Malabuka, Mustache positioned right below yet again. Almost exact copy of that last game. You even got Vadil and Reason trying to go up and steal it away. Everybody wants that high ground. They want the points, and they want the big win. They know how important this last week of qualifiers actually is.
Swizzy and Vanyak as well, close to second height, looking up. Seb going for the retake. Vadil now knocked in the sky. Nitro danger continues as Vadil's dropped down to the dirt. Good news, it's not quicksand though, and he gets his way back up. Players is now a bit of time to breathe as he pops the big pot, but Seb and his duo are going to be the ones up above now. Malabuka's cracked as well. I believe his duo, Vadil, is even knocked.
Yeah, that's Seb and Emil, a.k.a. Forzen. If you're wondering who it is, both of these guys are silly, and they've figured out a way to make the high ground while having fun. 132, slowly falling below that threshold, but it's going to be easy for them to find these opportunities once they start being proactive, but they're trying to catch up, keep up with the zone. 10th zone, this is where in game one, Malabuka and Mustache made their play from the high ground. Sky and Scroll as well staggered themselves back. Now they're bull rushing forward, but Malabuka gets dropped. Mustache left by himself, and now he is gone. They are out of here.
Sky Scroll is still in the game though, although it's not with a lot of HP. 32 for Sky Scroll, a combined 40 total effective HP and shield as it looks, but the Flowberry Fizz is going to come through. A bit of HP recuperated, no box going to come through from Sky, just a bit of damage. as now they have to stay ahead. They're in the middle of the cluster. So many duos surrounding them. It's a lot of danger for this duo. They need to get ahead.
Oh, Akira looked up. Akira looked up, got the knock on the high ground. Nate's now by himself. You're seeing the struggles a lot of the solos are going through, trying to stay alive. And there goes Nate making a stand, a full-on squad wipe. Even though Slove is down, he knows he did his job, and he cannot be the hero by himself, staggering with those medkits. He has one left in the inventory, but the damage has been done.
It was successful. Akira and Easy are claiming height now as Sky and Scroll are just trying to survive. They've done a great job so far. Incredible amount of eliminations, but they're going to need more here shortly, as it's going to be Cammy and Seti knocking on their door, fully on the ground here. You have to be careful for this duo.
Yeah, and we said it. It may not be the most exciting gameplay, but they know how to get the job done. One of the best teams for years on end, still figuring out a way, and I do believe they got that elimination, the backside of zone onto Vanyak. So now they're finding the eliminations in the stage of the game. They know how to play the best, but right above them, Sky and Scroll, they're the ones who took them out in the last game, but a ramp separates them. It takes down Scroll. Now Sky's trying to break out of the box. Well, they help him out. They break him out of the box and back into the lobby.
Mone, Lunex, doing a great job of holding on strong, but Cammy and Seti now have been let out from the low ground chambers. They slowly make their way up. It's going to be Easy, though, that gets a huge knock, continuing his wrath from above, but he's lost the high ground now. Akira as well getting ticked. Another shot getting connected. Chicho now dropped to just one shot. Cammy gets eliminated. Easy making it look easy as he gets taken out. Chicho as well. Now Mone and his duo are still up above. The 2 versus 1. Now just Cammy down, Seti left alone.
Yeah, but Mone and Lunex, they're both weak. They're both slivers of HP and separated. One's on the low ground, one's on the high ground, but they spot out Semi outside. He gets a knock onto one, trying to make a mad dash to find his way in, but Mone is there waiting. They picked up 10 double-digit eliminations for them as they steal the show late into the game.
What a chaotic way to end game number 2. It was hard to keep up. Incredible amount of high ground retakes, and all our top Titan duos were still up on the low ground battling it out. You can see how the playstyles change when the Nitro meta gets adjusted. It's not as dangerous anymore to be down below. You're still able to play in your boxes. You can take those pop shots when you need to, and just like Mone did here, retake high ground in those last moments to secure that positional advantage and clean up the last section of the match.
Yeah, zone was moving in, Seti out of heals. They knew exactly where he was because he got the knock onto Lunex, and that's going to be an easy one for them. They waited. The patience really pays off for them, not only to take the high ground, but like I said, steal that game away. That's 2 games, Takata. There's already being some shifts in the leaderboard.
It's been a crazy mix-up. It's only the second qualifier here, and the players are already playing on a whole other level, but we have a lot more to break down. So let's head on to a quick break, and then we'll be back to the desk to check out that leaderboard.